Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to ice dye a pair of shorts and a t-shirt to match. For this shirt and pair of shorts, I'm going to just randomly tie the shirt and the shorts with sinew. So I'm going to grab an area of the shirt, kind of smush it together, and tie a sinew line there. I'm going to do that on the rest of the shirt until I have the entire shirt tied. For this design, you can do as many lines, as few lines, just however you want to do it. I usually prefer to go diagonally when I do random sinew lines. I just think it is a little more interesting to look at, but that's just a personal preference. I've sped this part of the video up, but if at any point you'd either like to speed up or slow down the video so you can see something better, there is a settings icon on YouTube, and if you click that, you can choose your playback speed. You can either speed it up or slow it down, whichever one is more comfortable for you. I'm going to do the same process on the shorts, however I'm not going to pull the sinew quite as tight. And the reason for that is these shorts are 55% linen and 45% rayon. So the fabric is a little bit more gentle or tender. I don't want to damage the fabric, rip it, or do anything like that by trying to pull my sinew a little too tightly. Once I had both of the items tied, I was doing a whole bunch of shirts and tying a bunch of shirts the day that I tied this outfit. So I placed both of the items aside, and by the time I came back to actually apply the dye to them, they were both completely dry. For this design though, they don't have to be dry. You can apply the dye when they're still partially damp. For this set, I decided to use some Dalula Company colors. I've chosen Wild Plum and Lunar Eclipse. I thought they would look really good together. And then for my setup, I've taken a plastic tote, placed an expandable colander over the top, and placed both the shirt and the shorts right up next to each other inside of the colander. I would like a little bit more of a watercolor, softer design for this shirt and shorts, so I'm going to apply the dye over the top of the ice, which if you see that referred to on tie-dye groups, you'll see it as DOI for dye over ice. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply a pretty good layer of ice to the top of the shirt and the shorts. Whenever I apply the dye over the top of the ice, I really like to only do it once. In other words, I don't want to have to apply dye to the front side and turn it over and apply dye to the back side. I can do that if I need to, but these designs aren't very thick, so I think I can get by with just applying one layer of ice and one layer of dye. So I'm adding quite a bit of ice to the shirt and the shorts. Like I mentioned, I'm going to use two Dalula Company colors. I'm going to use Wild Plum and Lunar Eclipse. I'm going to place the dye in stripes across the ice. I'm starting with Wild Plum, followed by Lunar Eclipse. And I'm going to continue alternating the colors across the ice. If you're not familiar with Dalula Company, it is a small business owned by a lady named Amanda, and she hand mixes all of her dyes, and she mixes them especially for splits. So they're intended to be used for ice dyeing, and they're gorgeous colors. These are a couple of my favorites. Lunar Eclipse has got a lot of purple and blue and hints of green in it. It's just really pretty. And then Wild Plum obviously has, the plum colors, some yellowy type colors. It too is a really pretty color. And I thought together that these two would make some really cool colors and color splits on this shirt and pair of shorts. Once I have the dye on, I'm going to add an additional sprinkle of dry soda ash over the top of the dye, and then I'm going to place this container aside and allow the ice to melt. Once the ice melted, I came back, gently lifted up the shirt and pair of shorts and checked the back. The dye had gone through really well to the back side. So I took this colander and placed it down inside of a plastic tote. I placed the lid on the top of the tote, and then I placed the tote outside where it could process in the heat. I left this shirt and shorts for probably about 24 to 48 hours before I began rinsing them. To rinse them, I took them to my utility sink and I began rinsing them in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. After rinsing in cold for a while, I warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to try to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. I then untied the shirt and the pair of shorts, and then instead of just rinsing for a really long time, I decided to soak them. And to do that, I ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish soap to the water. I placed the shirt and the shorts inside of the water and just allowed them to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I placed both the shirt and the shorts inside of my washing machine and I washed them on a hot water cycle along with a little bit of Dharma's Professional Textile Detergent. Okay, so the shirt and shorts have both been washed, dried, and ironed, and let's see what they look like. Okay, so here are photos of the shirt, and what do you guys think? Because I think it turned out looking really cool. I really like these two colors together. I like all the various shades of green, which are mainly coming out of the lunar eclipse. And then I have shades of purple and blue, some of the dark, more burgundy-ish type colors, which are coming from the wild plum, and just lots of really cool color splits. And I like this design. I like the more organic freeform design of just the random sinew lines. I think they're really cool to look at. They're not like a geode, but they're not as busy as a geode either. And I think with heavy color splitting colors like these two colors, I think the shirt looks really cool. As far as the shorts go, I think they look really cool too. If you remember, they were 55% linen and 45% rayon. So rayon tends to be more of a delicate fabric. Like if you're tying something that's rayon with sinew and you pull it too tightly while the fabric is still wet, you can actually damage the fabric. You can either cut it or rip it. So I went a little bit more gentle when I was tying the shorts. That's the reason why I don't have quite as much definition in the sinew lines on the shorts as I do on the shirt. I wanted to make sure I didn't cause any kind of problems or damage when I was tying them. But I think they look really cool too. I have all the same cool color splits because I put both of them in together and dyed them at the same time and everything. They match and go really well together. One thing that I was a little bit concerned about is the shorts were more of a beige color instead of a pure white. And I was a little bit concerned after they were dyed that you could tell that when you put them up next to the shirt. But because my lines weren't super defined, you can't really tell that at all. I think they go really well together and I would never know that the shorts initially were not the same exact color as the shirt. So overall, I'm really happy with this shirt and this pair of shorts. But what do you guys think? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And by the way, if you want to learn a little bit more about Dalula Company, which is the one that makes these two dye colors, I have a link down below this video in the description to Dalula Company's website. And if you've enjoyed the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.